Hey everyone, it's Jason, and this is your cruise news update. And we have inoperable toilets on a Royal Caribbean ship. A passenger's 14-day cruise was ruined because of cruise air. And I need your opinion on this last one. Do you think this will put a stop to cruise chair hogs? So cruise story number one, and this is a nightmare scenario for many cruise passengers, and it's inoperable toilets. I still remember those images on the news from the 2013 Carnival cruise that many dubbed the poop cruise, as passengers did not have any running water or operable toilets for 3 days as the ship was just drifting at sea. So multiple passengers have reached out to me, and I've seen multiple posts on social media that Royal Caribbean's Oasis of the Seas had some toilet issues. Now, a passenger that reached out to me said in their cabin they were going on 4 hours without an operable toilet. They called down to guest services, housekeeping, and they said they were working on it. They said in about 6 hours they were emailing me back and forth, and I said, just go down to guest services. Talk to them, see if you can reason with them, see what you can find out. And finally they were told, and a group of big people were told, there is a large block of cabins that had no toilets that were working, and they were working to resolve the issue. I finally heard back at 10 hours they resolved the issue. Now, what the passenger said is they were trying it like every half hour to hour. Finally, it flushed. They called down, and they said, yes, it is operable. You can use your toilet. Now, they asked me, and I think this is an interesting question. What do you guys think? Should they ask for some compensation? Like 10 hours without an operable toilet. Now, they said not all of the public toilets were working either. There was a few that weren't. So it's not like they could just go down the hall to a public toilet and it was working. Now, it's been resolved. Royal Caribbean took care of it. But do you think they should get some shipboard credit? Now, I told them, hey, go down to guest services, talk to them really nice, and ask them, hey, could you give us some compensation for it? And if not, you don't make a big deal out of it, and you could write in and say, hey, this is very disappointing that this happened. We'd like to know what you guys think in the comments. So cruise story number two, and this is a warning for cruise passengers, and hopefully we all can learn from it. So when you have to fly in for a cruise, who do you book through? Do you book directly through the airline, or do you book through your cruise line? So a passenger related a story, and they were super excited as they were going on their 14-day Hawaiian cruise. It was on the Carnival Radiance, and it was leaving from LA, going out to the Hawaiian Islands, and they would visit many of the different islands. And they were flying out the day of their cruise. And that is mistake number one. Now, they booked their airfare through Carnival Cruise Line. And it's a shame that they do this, because I've read Norwegian, Celebrity, Royal, Princess. They do this a lot. They say, no, you'll be fine. You can fly out the day of your cruise. And it's just bad advice. Do not listen to this advice. Whether you're booking through the cruise line or booking direct, make sure to come in the day before. It's just, I read this every single day about people that are heartbroken because they missed their cruise and they didn't listen to the advice of flying in the day before. So they said there was an issue because the pilots didn't show up in time. They were coming in on a different flight. So they went to Delta and they said, hey, is there any way we can change our flights? And they said, we're so sorry. You booked this through Carnival Cruise Line. You need to call them. So they had to call them to call Delta. And this does happen. Understand, and they were so frustrated with this, they said they could not get good communication. And why was this happening? Now, I have a very good friend that works for Delta. They're in customer service, and they say this happens so much because people will call in for cruises, for other things, and they say, hey, I need to change my flight. I can't miss this. Or something is delayed. And they said, we're so sorry, you booked through a travel agency or you booked through a cruise line. You have to call them in order to handle this. We can't handle this directly. That's their policy. Understand this. I think this is a huge lesson for many people, and this is why, for me, I've always booked my flights direct with the airlines. I like Delta, that's who I booked through, and they're super easy. I've had some issues, and I'm like, hey, can we move this? Not a problem. Boom, boom, and I'm on another flight. Do you book direct, or do you book through the cruise line? So they said they ended up at LA, but unfortunately, it was after the gangway had gone up and they missed their 14-day Hawaiian cruise. How sad is that? Now, fortunately, they did have insurance, and when they called Carnival, they did apologize, and they will be refunded after the cruise is over, they said. So that is the one positive to that. If you're going to take chances like this, make sure you do have insurance. Would like to know what you guys think about this, and who do you book through? Direct or through the cruise line when you fly? So before I get to cruise story number 3, I would ask that you please like this video and consider subscribing, as it does help the channel grow. If you could do that for me, I would greatly appreciate it. Thanks so much. So cruise story number 3, how do you feel about chair hogs? And if you're anything like myself, you can't stand them. But the question's always been, how do you stop them? So I saw this picture posted right here on a Carnival board, and they were commending Royal Caribbean for it. They said they love this slip-on cover that gives a warning, hey, don't leave your stuff or we're going to pull it. Now what's interesting is, as I was on the Icon of the Seas a couple months ago, and I saw these starting to pop up. And I have to say, I saw the pink and I wanted to check it out because it caught my eye. And I asked the pool attendant, I said, do these work, you think? And he said, yes. He goes, just like what you said, people want to know what they say. Many people, they'll read it, they'll put their stuff down, and they'll stay in their chairs. Or they'll leave for about 30 minutes, they'll get their food, and they'll come back. He says they will not just leave their chairs unattended because they're seeing these, not all the play, not on every chair, but on enough where they realize that we mean business. Now I asked also, how long do people have before you start pulling stuff off? And he said 45 minutes. Do you think that's long enough? Personally, I do. I mean, you can get to the buffet, the bar, get in the pool, out of the pool. You can enjoy your time. 45 minutes is enough to be away from your chair, and they're not going to pull it. Now, many different people on other boards, NCL, Celebrity, and obviously Carnival, would love to see things like these slip-on covers. Would you want to see them on your cruise? And do you think they would help? Or is it just going to be these covers and more enforcement? That's what's needed. So I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you again so much for the continued support. And until I talk to you soon, happy cruising.